The night Michael Carter finally admitted he was lonely, the porch light across the street flickered like it was hesitating to judge him. He stood in his driveway in a quiet Ohio neighborhood, one hand gripping his car keys, the other trembling around a phone he had no intention of using. Widowed at 38, a single father to a 9-year-old boy, Michael had mastered survival but forgotten how to hope. The title of his life had quietly shifted from husband and dreamer to provider and protector, and somewhere in that shift, his heart had gone silent. Before the story truly begins, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen between ordinary people, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that love often arrives when we stop looking for it. Michael's days were predictable in the way grief often makes them. Morning routines revolved around his son Jacob's cereal preferences and missing homework, evenings around reheated dinners and half-watched television shows. His wife Rebecca had passed away 3 years earlier after a sudden illness, leaving behind a house filled with memories that refused to fade. Michael had tried dating apps once, deleting them within days. He had gone to one awkward coffee meetup arranged by a coworker and returned home feeling more tired than before. Love, it seemed, belonged to another lifetime. The one constant outside his son was his neighbor, Sarah Whitman. She lived in the blue house next door, a middle school counselor with an easy smile and a habit of bringing over extra soup when she cooked too much. Their connection had always been safe, neighborly, built on shared waves in the morning and brief conversations over the fence. She knew about Rebecca. She knew about Jacob. She never pushed, never pried, and that made Michael trust her in a way he no longer trusted the world. The moment that changed everything came on a late autumn evening when Michael found himself sitting on his porch steps, watching leaves scrape the pavement like restless thoughts. Sarah was walking her dog, and something in Michael finally cracked. He asked her for help, not with fixing a fence or watching Jacob for an hour, but with dating. He admitted, in the most unguarded way he had in years, that he did not know how to start over. He confessed that he felt guilty even thinking about another woman, as if loving again would erase Rebecca's memory. Sarah listened without interrupting, her presence steady and calm. What she gave him in return was not a list of dating tips or encouragement to download another app. What she offered was a truth that landed softly but permanently. She explained that love was not a replacement, that moving forward did not mean leaving anyone behind. She told him that the right person would not compete with his past but would honor it, and that his hesitation was not weakness but proof of how deeply he loved. More than that, she gently suggested that perhaps what he needed was not to chase dating at all, but to allow connection to grow naturally, without forcing it or fearing it. That night, Michael slept more deeply than he had in years. Something in Sarah's words settled his constant self-blame. He began to see his grief not as a barrier but as part of his story. Over the following weeks, small changes appeared. He laughed more easily with Jacob. He stopped rushing through evenings. He even noticed the way sunlight filtered through his kitchen window in the mornings, something he had not appreciated since Rebecca's passing. As winter approached, Michael and Sarah's paths crossed more often. They shoveled snow side by side, shared brief smiles that lingered longer than before, and talked about their days in a way that felt meaningful. Michael found himself opening up about his fears as a father, his worry about raising Jacob alone, his concern that he would fail at both parenting and love. Sarah shared her own quiet disappointments, the relationships that never quite fit, the longing she carried beneath her calm exterior. The turning point did not come with a grand confession or dramatic event. It came during a school fundraiser where Michael volunteered to help. Sarah was there too, guiding students with practiced patience. Watching her interact with children, including Jacob, stirred something in Michael that felt both terrifying and comforting. He realized that the qualities he admired in her were not sudden or forced. They had been there all along, waiting for him to be ready to see them. Michael's struggle was not whether he cared for Sarah, but whether he deserved to. Old guilt resurfaced, whispering that happiness was a betrayal, but Sarah's earlier words echoed louder now. Love was not a finite resource. It expanded when allowed to breathe. Slowly, Michael allowed himself to imagine a future that included joy without erasing the past. Jacob noticed the change before anyone else. His laughter grew louder, his questions more curious. The house felt warmer even on cold nights. Michael realized that healing was not a straight path but a series of small permissions granted to oneself. Permission to smile, permission to hope, permission to feel again. As spring returned, so did a sense of renewal. Michael and Sarah's bond deepened quietly, rooted in respect and shared understanding. There was no rush, no pressure, just two people choosing to be present. Michael found strength in vulnerability, something he had avoided for years. He understood now that asking for help had not made him weak, but human. If this story is already touching something inside you, if you see pieces of your own journey in Michael's, stay with us until the end. Sometimes the most powerful moments come softly, when we least expect them. The day Michael finally acknowledged his feelings was ordinary. A backyard barbecue, laughter. Drifting through the air, Jacob running freely with neighborhood kids. Sarah stood nearby, and Michael felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Not for romance, not even for certainty, but for connection, for the courage to ask for help, for the grace to receive it. Before this story ends, we have one special request. If you believe that healing is possible and that love can return after loss, leave a comment sharing one word that represents hope to you. Your words may help someone else more than you know. Near the end of that evening, as the sun dipped low and the world felt briefly perfect, Michael understood the true meaning of what Sarah had given him. She had not taught him how to date. She had reminded him how to live, and in doing so, she changed everything. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even after deep loss, life can surprise us with beauty again, please like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps stories like this reach hearts that are still waiting to heal.